Hasan Piker is the most prominent left-leaning streamer online. His debate resume includes Asmongold, a 16-year-old Israeli kid, and me, where his only defense for his continually poor reporting is saying it's all out of context.
The reason why I said this, and you do this regularly, okay? When I say something on this stream, okay, oftentimes, especially if it's a developing story.
Like, how do you know I say this stuff?
Especially if it's a developing story. If I misspeak, apparently you can use it in your commentary as though it's like super serious. So anyway,
I didn't name one example that I did that.
I don't know. I don't watch your videos, so
yeah. So don't make shit up.
He's very critical of other people's debating skills. His grand advice to Destiny when debating Ben Shapiro was to call Ben a fascist.
Oh my God, dude, this is why you need to be a little bit more educated. Okay, he's a fascist. Him bringing up Nazi Germany as a moral regression is an awesome point. What do you say in that situation? You turn around and go, yeah, that's exactly the kind of moral regression you're advocating for in the United States of America when you want to have these like insane regressions on culture and on civil society.
The moral regression Ben was advocating for was a two-parent household, just like those evil Germans.
Dude, I would destroy Ben on Israel-Palestine. I'm serious. He is so bad.
When given the chance to destroy someone that's about as intellectually honest as himself, Hasan loses it on international television.
You asked about 30,000 people.
I've got two panelists here who've not had a word yet.
Because you're a terrorist.
Please stop talking.
Forcing the debate to end early.
Cut off their food. Cut off their water.
Okay.
Yeah, the slight
you know what? I'm going to cut off.
I'm
going to cut off this debate.
of their electricity. The rest is Hamas.
I'm going to cut off the
That's
debate
not
because
Israel.
we're getting absolutely nowhere. But I
Okay.
appreciate everybody joining me. Thank you very much indeed.
He famously did a fluff piece for the Houthi terrorists, giving their pirating operation the stamp of approval from him and his entire audience.
That's so fire. Oh my God. Dude, we think the Houthis, Ansar Allah, is doing what Luffy would do. You should tell him that.
Hasan would get so much backlash for this, he would rewrite history only a month later, acting like he never knew this kid was a pirate.
I had a random teenager from Yemen on this broadcast, and these dipshits literally kept saying he's an anti-Semitic, homophobic, gay people executing terrorist Houthi who killed probably a bunch of fucking sailors. Random Yemeni teenager.
He literally talks about being a Houthi on his social media, saying you should only be afraid if you're a Jew. And when it comes to engaging with different points of view or criticism, Hasan is as dishonest as ever.
Shouldn't you be trying to convince these people of the right thing instead of ostracizing them? Man, suck my fucking dick, dumb f. These people are fucking brain broken. You don't know what the f you're talking about.
This is gonna be a classic. That's the thing. There's a lot of dishonest folks on the internet that you have to protect yourself from, like data brokers who steal your information and sell it to spammers and scammers online. Your full name, home address, health records, family members, it's all out there. That's why I use Aura, the sponsor of today's video. Aura automatically submits opt-out requests to these sites, which would otherwise be impossible to do. As you can see, I've had over 15 data brokers selling my phone number and address online, leading to these annoying robocalls ringing my phone 5 times a day and leaving me open to being doxxed. This not only limits the amount of spam I get, but it also protects me from hackers who could use this information to access my social media or bank accounts. Just this year, AT&T had a massive data breach of over 73 million former and current customers, exposing their personal information to the dark web. This is why you have to protect yourself online. It also comes with an antivirus, a VPN, password management system, and more without having to download all these other apps. It's all in one place. You may have 1 or 2 of these tools already, but not having Aura is like locking the front door but leaving the back wide open, and it comes at a much cheaper price. Go to aura.com/WillyMac to start your 14-day free trial to see if your information is getting leaked. It almost certainly is. Thank you, Aura, for sponsoring this video.
I've been working a long time now. I've been working for free.
You see, Hasan streaming other people's videos all the time, it's hard work. He's really exhausted by it. He claimed that streaming was more soul-sucking and draining on his social battery than a normal job.
Yes, a real job can be gruesome. A real job can make you very tired, but a real job doesn't suck the soul out of you. You know what I mean? In the same way that 9 hours of streaming absolutely will.
I sympathize that every line of work is going to have its days where it's hard, but comparing streaming in any way to a real job is so out of touch, especially coming from the guy who leaves to eat midstream while other people's videos play. Hasan would obviously get a lot of heat for that, so he'd quote tweet me saying, "It's wild how this completely out of context clip made its way to Twitter so fast. I was talking about how streaming eats away at my social battery compared to my sales job, but people already understand the context, they just disagree. His own chat disagrees. Comparing it to retail work is just so funny. He's trying to get his chat to ratio me on stream while they're telling him he has a bad take."
Pass. It was a bad take. Let's just move on. Because imagine a soul-crushing job and then you still don't have money to take care of your family. Yeah, I famously say work is not soul-crushing. I don't understand. This is why people stop watching. No, man. It's not because of hater content that people stop watching. Your chat is not even on your side. What the the real reason why people stop watching is because shit like this pops, dude. It bangs. It bangs on Twitter. It's like, and new people that would normally filter in here are immediately fucking negatively polarized against me. That's it.
When people would ask Hasan what he thought of the criticism, he would say that he's too much of an adult to be bothered by it.
Where did you see the what we take? I did not. I did not look at any of these takes. You want to know why? Because I'm a motherfucking adult who lives in the real world. And it doesn't matter.
But as the stream progressed, it became increasingly obvious that it definitely did bother him. Muda would point out that even with the extra context, he still disagrees. And Hasan would say Muda is just posturing.
It's honestly posturing specifically to be like, I, as an online content creator, am very close to you guys. I'm just like you. I hate when streamers say stuff like this. I'm very different. And it's like, bro, you know, you understand the context of it. It doesn't... You understand the context of what I said. You see that it's like clipped out of context, and then you double down on the clipping out of context, and you say, well, even in context is still stupid.
He then pulls up Muda's tweets on Palestine to discredit him and show that he's a bad person.
That's crazy that the fucking fence is holding him. That's crazy. He's sitting hard on that thing, dude. He's like, this genocide stuff is very complex.
But Hasan would hit a boiling point when Ludwig would upload a video disagreeing with him.
There ain't no fucking way MAGA Male made a huge streaming controversy video. There's no fucking way. This motherfucker avoided, like the plague, 8 Nick Merckx LGBT controversies only to turn around and make a MAGA Male. What is the thumbnail? Let me see this. Streaming is the hardest job on earth.
He's so mad. So Ludwig shows all the context and he still disagrees, making a lighthearted joke about Hasan, and Hasan feels devastated.
But I wanted to talk about this as a streamer myself for almost 6 years now on how hard it really is. I'm kidding. I would look. I just.
Oh God, it just annoys me because like it's such a fake fucking thing to do. It's just literally using someone who you're friends with, like being maliciously clipped out of context to be like, I'm actually one of the good content creators. I know how privileged I am. It's like, yeah, I do too.
When Hasan says something is out of context, it's never missing context. It just means they disagree with him. Hasan would go full mask off when an audience member pointed this out.
Yeah. It's like no different than what Muda did. He showed the context though. It doesn't matter that he showed the context. It's just a way to just literally farm off the fucking drama.
Well, then don't say it's out of context. Hasan doesn't have any way to really defend himself, so he molds and then just goes back to saying everything's out of context.
I got used like a cum rag for a Rocket Mortgage ad, dude. Come on. Dude, come on, bro. Don't farm me like that. Jesus Christ. That's lame as fuck, actually. Like, I thought he was at least gonna... Oh, yeah. For a good cause, at least. Yeah, dude. He's a great cause. He threw me to the flames, posted a fucking Twitter, a fake tweet, said that, you know, we are so privileged, actually, which he's right. We are. He just said it was out of context, farmed me regardless, moved on to be like, look how nice I am, and sold a fucking Rocket Mortgage ad in the process.
Hasan would end his stream and his fans would try to pressure Ludwig into taking down the video.
You should call Hasan and apologize. Why is Hasan mad? What did I do?
Oh no. Fucking fan.
What did I do? Because I'm a mogul male?
Did call Hasan, he's crying unironically.
Hard for views? Oh, well, I mean, shit, if that's the deal, I'll just fucking pull him out of the thumbnail, and then I feel like it doesn't really matter much, right? I feel like outside the thumbnail, you can't really make that argument much.
But this wouldn't be enough for him, so Ludwig would take down the video and re-record the whole thing, siding with Hasan the whole time.
People don't really give a shit about the context. People don't really give a shit about the conversation. They just care about getting Twitter likes, which is all this really is, which is why people like Keemstar are tweeting out shit like this, just, you know, just for a dunk sesh, because nobody gives a fucking shit. Nobody gives a rat's ass about the facts or about any people involved. They just care about a little Twitter-like little impression.
Ludwig got a single DM that said no balls and then showed a tweet about bringing assassinations back. For some reason, acting like this was a serious threat.
And this is the one that set me over the edge. Now, this is a DM from a guy that just said no balls because I removed the video. Again, what the fucking plan to re-upload the video? But he messages me and he says no balls. Now, you know, by itself, you don't think much of it. But then I clicked on his Twitter account and I see that he said this: wish assassinations were a real thing. And this isn't a quote retweet to people in this situation. Not trying to say who, I'm not trying to get demonetized here. But what a fucking crazy thing for Mr. Penis Head to say.
Why is it crazy? His name is Mr. Penis Head. It's got a single like, and Ludwig's virtue signaling about how un-American this guy is.
Can now be a guy who's wishing for assassinations, cause why? The guy you don't like online is millionaire? Said something you don't like? It's the most un-American thing I ever heard in my fucking life. What's more beautiful about being an American than seeing someone you don't fucking like, but they're allowed to say whatever the fuck you don't like? Blows my mind.
Why are we taking Mr. Penis Head's joke tweets so seriously? Hasan's literally tweeted a picture of the same 3D printed gun that was used to assassinate the former Japanese prime minister. And he did this to a United States senator. But Mr. Penis Head, way too far. Ludwig's a coward for taking this video down. It's so funny to me that Hasan has this expectation that his friends need to defend him at every turn for every dumb thing he says. Vosh's community makes fun of Hasan for his poor coverage of Ukraine. And Hasan wants it down.
This is not a leftist community at all, for the record. I don't know. I really thought so. I reached out to Vosh earlier today. I was like, listen, dude, I see something going on that I don't like. I'm letting you know it's a fucking never-ending death spiral. It will turn out bad if you just like allow this kind of shit to foster. And he was like, he was literally like, yeah, no, f off. Like, these were legitimate criticisms. I was like, bro, they were literally clipping shit from my Twitter where I was criticizing Russia to make it seem like I was pro-Russia. How is that in any way, shape, or form legitimate criticism?
He's lying again, saying it's out of context when it's not. I have a whole video documenting it. XQC ranks Hasan a little lower on a tier list, and Hasan cries about it.
Like, whenever your chat was like calling me out or whatever, when mentioning Moon and NMP Lol, Asmongold, and all these other content creators actually, you know, whipping their communities when their chat is going absolutely bananas over random dumb shit and bringing my name up for no fucking reason. And I thought that for the past year, you were just allowing that shit to run rampant in your chat. And I thought that was fucked up, especially as someone who thought we were friends. I think that's a reasonable expectation for someone who you consider to be a friend.
But when Ethan was begging Hasan to moderate his chat from calling him pro-genocide every 30 seconds, Hasan's like, it's out of my hands. You did it to yourself.
By the way, I'm not even defending I'm not even like, I'm just trying to tell you guys how it feels. And I'm fucking shocked that you don't care that people in your chat are saying, who the fuck is this child, cold, arrogant, as fuck.
I love you, but there's only so much I can do.
How can you be surprised when your Discord is literally full of
Ethan, I love you, but there's only so much I can do if you're making that argument. You know that, right? Like, at a certain point, you're an adult, and the words that you're saying are going to be perceived by people in a certain way.
You know, at what point is Hasan responsible for the words that come out of his mouth? Zero self-awareness.
I've gotten numb to the criticism. Like, it's not. As a matter of fact, I seek it out now.
That's bullshit.
No lube. So what you gonna do? If you number one, shove it up your ass and make it number two.
Oh.
Hasan didn't like Destiny's debate with Ben Shapiro. He called Destiny an idiot for not picking apart Ben's points. Hasan's advice that he tries to give Destiny is terrible. He's like, never let Ben explain anything.
The problem is, you shouldn't actually ever ask him, like, how do you enforce that? Because then you're kind of conceding. You're giving him an opportunity to describe his like idiotic worldview, and Ben is a very skilled debater, and he will try to present his handmaiden tale as dystopia in like a relatively positive way.
But that's how good conversations work. One person talks and then the other person responds. If you don't go down their logical thought process, how will you ever understand their argument? It's no wonder all of Hasan's debates turn into screaming matches. Now, this debate was widely praised for being civil, respectable, and for allowing there to be a deeper conversation than just name calling. I don't want to show you too much because it's a little dry. It's a politically nuanced conversation.
Hasan is unfortunately the dumbest guy here this time. Please just simply tell me why you think that is the case instead of just saying that and making yourself feel smart. because that is what dumb guys do.
My guy, that's you. The master masturbator Hasan would get a chance to show off his debate tactics on Piers Morgan, but unfortunately would run into someone as stubborn as himself. Emily is pro-Israeli Hasan. She's loud and overly dramatic, demonizing everyone.
How dare you say it's okay to talk about an intifada?
My goal is solutions. Your goal is the continuation of violence.
Yeah, these two were made for each other. I ship them. When going on a show to debate Israel-Palestine, the number one question you will be asked is, do you think October 7th was justified? And Hasan refuses to answer directly.
It does seem that you're very selective about the violence that you support. That when you support it, it's justified. When other people use things in a violent way that you don't support, it's unjustified. Seems like it's all skewed to what Hasan Piker thinks.
Well, not necessarily just what I think. I think that there are obvious markers, obvious boundaries. I don't think violence against civilians is justified. I have talked about October 7 on this very same show, saying that it was a tragedy. It was atrocities that occurred on October 7 specifically. When you target civilians in any capacity, I think that that is unacceptable. However, this does not mean that violence will not occur in many circumstances. Violence has occurred in every single revolutionary action, many good revolutionary actions.
Piers now asks the obvious question, which is, does Hamas attack count as one of those good revolutionary actions?
Was what Hamas did on October the 7th an example of what you would call a justified revolution?
I don't look at every single act of violence. I look at
You've literally just been reciting a whole load of them.
Systems of oppression.
Why are you avoiding
Piers.
October the 7th?
You do it too.
No, I don't.
I'm not avoiding it. I've talked about it a million times
well,
over.
let me ask you one more time. Hang on.
This is not what we're here to discuss.
Emily, hang on.
This is not what we're here to
Hasan,
discuss.
let me just ask you. Let me just ask you directly one more time.
Just answer the question. He doesn't, so Piers asks again.
Let me ask you one more time. Do you believe what happened on October the 7th was a justified act of revolution? Yes or no?
I do not, and I do think that. Oh, wait, hold on. That's let me clarify. Let me clarify something very important here.
How do you not have an answer ready? He talks about how Israel is an apartheid regime, continuing to dodge the question, so Piers continues to ask it.
I just want to bring in our two British panelists here, but just finally, just to clarify, Hasan, I can't quite work out whether you said you do think October the 7th was an unjustified act of revolution or whether you changed your mind. So can you clarify?
I think that violent means of maintaining an apartheid is inevitably going to yield violent retaliation.
Just say yes. If your argument is that these people have been abused and oppressed for so long that this was the only option they had, then fine. That's not an illegal position. He's so worried about optics, he can't even communicate what he thinks.
I do not. And I do think that... Oh, wait, hold on. That's let me clarify.
I find it funny that when Piers does this to opposing guests, Hasan loves it. He calls it real journalism.
Here is a 5-minute fest where Piers Morgan actually genuinely becomes a journalist for a brief moment. Let's watch.
You literally no idea how many civilians you've been killing.
I can tell you definitively that our aim is to go after Hamas.
You have no idea how many civilians you've killed. If you know exactly how many Hamas terrorists you've killed, you must know how many civilians you've killed.
Piers, with respect, don't put words into my mouth, please. I didn't say exactly 14,000. I said around 14,000, whereas Hamas will come out with precise numbers that statisticians will look at.
Give me a ballpark number for civilians.
Well, you can use the ballpark as far as the Hamas figures, which I reject as being false.
Well, if they're false, why would you give me those?
I gave you the numbers that I had.
No, you've told me you know how many Hamas terrorists you've killed, but you don't seem to have any idea how many civilians you've killed.
I saw a TikTok about this, and they were all saying you turned Piers Morgan into a believer. Yeah, I don't know what happened, but it's a shocking display. And as a fair and balanced reporter of facts, I will hand it to Piers. This is an unimaginable W.
But when Piers does the same thing to Hasan because he won't answer, that's because he's biased. Piers repeated the question one more time, and it about breaks Hasan.
Hasan, just before I come to the two people who are with me here, I just need some clarity here, because it seems like you're dancing around whether you think October the 7th was justified or not.
Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this back and forth masturbation? I've already given you my
why are you doing this?
I'm sick and tired of repeating it over and over again.
Okay,
because it's Jews, it's okay.
Ask this demon next to me wearing a fucking IDF dog tag.
Only when it's Jews, it's okay.
Please stop shouting at each other.
Next to me wearing an IDF dog tag if she actually thinks Israel's actions are justifiable.
Bring them home.
Do you
it's
see
to
me
bring the
rocking
hostages
the fucking...
home. The hostages
all right,
that you
you're talking
rightly
over each
believe
other.
belong in
All
the
right, you know what it
tunnels of
is.
This whole time, by the way, the other two panelists haven't even been introduced. Hasan then asks the inverse question to Emily, but she answers very clearly.
Stop doing this to each other, please.
Emily,
Nobody
Emily,
can understand a
can you
word
condemn the
either of
actions
you are
of
saying.
Israel?
Now let me come to Esther and James here. This is one of my problems.
No, I want to
actually.
hear if Emily condemns
No,
the
no,
actions of
Hassan,
Israel.
you
Why
will
don't you ask
please
her
let me
about that?
moderate the debate.
Why don't you ask her about
I don't condemn
30,000
the idea.
people
I've got
killed?
two panelists here who've not had a word yet.
Exactly, because you're a
they
fucking
kidnapped
terrorist.
Please
civilians
stop
from their
talking.
homes. And I think you're a terrorist.
So yeah, this has been very productive. Finally, Esther answers that same October 7th question, and she does so precisely and clearly while bodying these two clowns.
This happened in a vacuum. Of course, October the 7th was an atrocity, and it was completely unjustified. There was no justification for butchering people in the way that they did. But it didn't happen in a vacuum. A lot of the people that live in Gaza weren't even born at the time that Hamas came in power. So I really just... I despise this, you're a terrorist sympathizer, you're a genocide supporter, all of this, when really the people that we should be talking about deserve better.
Okay, James, on the wider point of these protests...
Well, I couldn't get to that part because I wanted to describe what the apartheid is, and Emily cut in immediately to chirp about some random shit.
Okay.
He's so salty.
Look, Hassan...
But
hang on,
can I add
Emily,
something?
please, I'll come to you. Let me just ask Hassan. When you and Emily go at each other like you just did, nobody wins. I mean, no one can really understand a word you're saying because you're shouting over each other. You end up just calling each other terrorists. There's no sensible dialogue here. There's no constructive conversation. It's just two implacably opposed sides abusing each other. Do you understand that?
Yeah, listen, Piers, okay? This is going to always be a very heated discussion, okay? Having a conversation about how heated this discussion is utterly unproductive.
How are you supposed to have a productive conversation on this topic, educating people, if everyone is so emotional they can't even let each other speak? He's so emotional he can't even see the obvious flaws in his logic. The point he tries to make is absurd.
You tell me I'm wearing an IDF dog tag. I'm wearing a bring them home for the hostages that you... No, it says bring them home.
You're using the hostages as a simple political tool to make propaganda in the West is quite disgusting. The protests that are happening in Israel right now are massive.
Are a political tool?
And those protests,
what?
You are using humans in captivity as a political tool. It's so obvious.
Yeah, but so is Hamas, right? That's why they took the hostages in the first place, to use them as political tools. James correctly points this out, and Hasan loses it.
Anyone is using hostages, surely it's Hamas, Hasan. How can you say that? How can you use that argument? That's a crazy thing to say. It's Hamas that have taken these people from their homes,
tens of thousands of people in Israel. There are currently tens of thousands of Israeli citizens right now in the streets of Israel, in the streets of Tel Aviv, outside of Benjamin Netanyahu's house, protesting every single day. What are they protesting? They're protesting for Benjamin Netanyahu to facilitate a ceasefire with Hamas so that they can actually bring the hostages home. That is precisely the number one goal of the family members of the hostages.
Who
and
is
if
using
anyone
the hostages?
on this panel was being even a little bit honest, they would recognize the reality that, listen, just listen.
You didn't listen to my question.
James is right. He's dodging his question.
Listen to what I'm saying, and you will understand, perhaps, what I'm trying to imply here.
That's very patronizing.
Utilizing the hostages. Yeah, I am being patronizing. I don't know who the fuck you are, and you're over here chirping all the way from London about Palestine and doing a both sides are fine type bullshit. Or you're talking about how you want to free Palestine, but also simultaneously, both sides got a lot going on. Shut the up. You don't know anything, okay?
Bro, this guy lives in a $3 million home in California and drives a $250,000 Porsche. You're all equally unqualified.
I don't give a shit about what your perspective is.
I agree.
Hassan doesn't like what you have to say, so you're wrong. It's Hassan's way or the highway.
I mean, you are. There is no both sides on a genocide. Is there a both sides on a genocide? There is no both sides.
Well, the thing is, it's interesting you should mention the hostages.
What is in the Hamas charter? They want to
Piers ends the debate early because Emily and Hasan won't stop talking over each other. The dialogue is completely fruitless. He stares in the camera, looking like he wants to end it all.
Saying we are fighting human animals and we have to cut off their electricity, cut off their food, cut off their water.
Okay.
Yeah, the slight
You know what? I'm
Israel,
going to cut
Israel
off. I'm
provides
going to cut off this
79%
debate.
of their electricity. The rest is Hamas.
I'm going to cut off the
That's
debate
not
because
Israel.
we're getting
Israel
absolutely
provides-
nowhere. But I appreciate everybody joining me. Thank you very much indeed.
Hasan's debate strategy was much more entertaining than Destiny's debate with Ben, but I didn't learn a goddamn thing. Nobody watching this changed their opinion or learned anything new about the conflict. Hasan does nothing for this topic. Even he agrees that it was a complete waste of time.
I unironically realize, like, this is, I can't have these conversations with people who are just like dick riding Israel into oblivion. It's just not going to be productive discourse. I was screaming, dude. He probably loves you if you made good TV. No, we didn't make good TV because I nuked it. Probably came off unhinged.
I really do believe if he was just less emotional and engaged with arguments more directly, he would look a lot better. Instead, he frames it as everyone else is just doing this for career opportunities.
That's the problem. Every single one of these like pro-Israeli people are doing it for fucking career opportunities.
He gets mad at Brianna Wu for supporting how police handled protesters and compares her having the last name Wu to a white person saying the N-word.
How does she have the last name Wu? She married an Asian dude. And I guess like transitive property makes her Asian. I don't know. It's very strange. Like, okay, so I guess Riley Reid can say the N-word then. Like, what do you mean? It don't work that way.
Her last name is Wu because that's her husband's last name. What is he talking about? Hasan was terrible in this debate. He managed to make a majority pro-Palestine panel hate him. And I don't blame them. Hasan is the best thing to happen to the IDF. He makes his side look so crazy. He mocks Destiny for reading Wikipedia.
Seems like he does more research than you. No, you just came in here to say that because you don't know anything about the way I've covered this conflict. I have talked to academics on this issue over and over again. I've used their works. I've interviewed them directly. I've interviewed journalists on the fucking ground that have like actually been in Gaza.
By that, he means he reads tweets and only talks to people who agree with him. But when he's asked to read a single article from an opposing viewpoint, he's like, nope, don't want to pay for it.
Why don't you read the whole article? Well, one, because it's paywalled, and two, I don't want to listen to an article about how calling Israel an apartheid regime is wrong.
If you're so educated and know so much, go debate Destiny. Piers has been trying to set it up.
So they think like that's the position to take.
The Piers Morgan people today reached out to me. They said, "Hi, would you be interested in debating Hasan Piker on either Tuesday or Thursday next week?" I said, yeah, sure, but there's no way he will agree. And they said, checking. We'll see.
Hasan's pretending this isn't happening. It's pathetic.
Just genocide all of them. Genocide the Middle East. Permanent third world genocide.
Another thing Hasan has been doing is he will literally break news. He will talk about things that nobody else has even reported on or talked about yet. There's no details released, but Hasan's got the inside scoop. He doesn't cite anything.
There has been a ceasefire negotiation process with a lot of back and forth for some time now. Israel is the party that has been ruining the ceasefire terms. I know that it takes two to tango, but for the most part, I would say that Hamas's conditions have been endlessly reasonable. Israel's reaction has been anything but.
How? Why? Quantify that, please. He won't.
Now, of course, if you look at the American news coverage, the Western media's coverage on the issue, you would you would basically come up with an entirely different opinion. Perhaps the exact opposite of what is the truth.
Okay, how?
So basically what I'm trying to say is the media is presenting what is actually happening, looking at what is actually happening and just presenting the exact opposite. Okay? The exact opposite.
Show me. Give me an article. The video he has on screen does not confirm any of it.
In this round of conversations, basically they claimed that like the Hamas acceptance was coming from an Egyptian envoy, and Egypt is also Hamas. Well, they didn't say that, but they said that the Egyptian terms were like infinitely softer than what the Israel would be down for or something. And this is after Hamas agreed to the latest proposal presented by Israel on April 27th. And there is no change in its elements. An official matter with the talks tells Reuters.
He's saying Hamas accepted Israel's ceasefire conditions with no changes and that Israel is backing out because they want to kill more people. This is insane news if true. Hasan's only source for this is a tweet. Like, bro, you gotta have more than this. He then immediately mocks and laughs at any report saying that Hamas may have changed the deal.
And the only thing that I've seen from Israel is that although it is their proposal, they no longer actually feel comfortable with it and are saying that maybe it's Egypt has softened that deal too much.
The details haven't been released yet. How is he mocking that? What if it's true? Only 2 days later, a US official would report US officials had pushed back on Hamas' claim that it agreed to a ceasefire deal, instead characterizing the response as a counter-proposal with changes. That counter-proposal will need further negotiation. So when this information would come out, would Hasan correct the story? Nope, he'd just continue his narrative. Israel reneged the terms.
That is why you saw celebration when the Palestinians heard that Hamas had accepted the ceasefire conditions, which were put together by an American and Egyptian and Qatari envoys as well, which Israel decided to renege on the terms and then turn around and say, actually, no, we didn't agree to this at all. We don't believe this at all. We are still going to continue with our Rafah invasion. Israel then also claimed that it was really fucked up of Hamas to act like they were accepting a ceasefire and getting the Palestinian hopes up.
And as usual, this guy doesn't cite anything. He just keeps the storyline going. That's the Hasan way.
It was funny to see like a brief moment from the media where they were like, Hamas accepted the conditions of the ceasefire, and then Israel reneged on the offer, only to very quickly turn back and be like, actually, no, Israel told us that it was Hamas that like fucked up the offer and added additional conditions, and that's why it's Hamas's fault. It's like, is there a moment that like Israel will be at fault for any of this, or is it always just Hamas?
The media only ever reported that that's what Hamas said, which is not the same thing. Even the most staunch advocates have to admit it's a little bit ridiculous that Hasan will see a single tweet, come up with a narrative in his head, and then when the news releases more information, he goes, nope, they're wrong, my scenario's actually right. He's like this because his foreign policy is America bad all the time.
Let me explain to you 2 principles that you should keep with you, coming from a person who's Turkish, okay? When you look at a situation in the Middle East, you look at what the local government is and who the Western forces are. Never align with the Western forces. That's a principle that you could take home with you. If you want to actually be moral, or if you want to be smart about the way you analyze other countries, that's one basic principle that you can take home with you. All of a sudden, magically, you are above on your foreign policy analysis. You're going to be better off than 90% of people that look at the situation.
That's not what analysis is, bro. That's called bias. Hasan isn't just bad at news, he does this on purpose. He's a propagandist, no different than the counter-protester he condemns. College protests have erupted across the country. Their goals vary, but they mainly want universities to stop working with companies that have financial ties to Israel. And the students have every right to do that. The debate comes when students build a Rust base and prevent other students from freely moving around campus. Asman tweeted about this, and Hasan responded saying students aren't being blocked from going to class. And Asman replied with a video.
You guys have closed the entrance. We are UCLA students. I have my ID right here. I'm being blocked off, not by the security guard, but by you two. You three. Oh, look, they're making their burger while I'm going this way. Excuse me. This is what they do. Everybody, look at this. Look at this. I'm a UCLA student. I deserve to go here. We pay tuition. This is our school. And they're not letting me walk in. My class is over there. I want to use that entrance. Okay, we're going. We're going. I'm going in. I have my hands up. I'm not hurting them. I'm not hurting them. That's what they do. That's what they do, everybody. You guys are promoting aggression. You guys are promoting hate. We're UCLA students, we deserve to be there.
Hasan writes, this is a Zionist counter-protester, and they routinely try to enter the encampment to dox and harm students, like he's doing here now to farm TikToks and dupe people who aren't there into thinking these students are trying to block him from going to class. He brought mace. Now Hasan's right in the sense that this guy isn't just trying to go to class. He's a counter-protester with the goal of making the protesters look bad. One look at his page proves that. The thing is, there's no evidence of this guy trying to harm anybody. Hasan's acting like he was trying to start fights. Asman rightfully points out, I don't see him trying to harm anyone here. He's just talking to them. How is that a problem? Hasan then gets flustered. No, I was talking about the video you linked. He's been trying to enter the encampment to start fights for the past week. He's an agitator and has never been restricted from going to class. The vid you linked is cut specifically to invoke your response. So now this guy isn't just an annoying counter-protester, which was accurate. He's now trying to start fights and harm people. Asman asks, where are the videos of him starting fights then? If I look behind the people blocking him, there aren't any encampments at all either. I'm fine to condemn the guy, but I don't see any evidence of him doing doing anything wrong right now. And that's true. There's absolutely zero evidence of this guy trying to harm anyone. I tweeted about it, asking for a single clip of this guy causing any harm. It doesn't exist. There's something truly poetic about Hasan getting mad at an Israeli propagandist for lying, so his solution is to then lie about him, spreading his own propaganda. They're the same person. It's beautifully ironic. Hasan gets mad at Asman, reiterating, he wasn't blocked from going to class. He's blocked from entering the encampment. Asman replies, if he's a student and he can't go somewhere in the school because people are blocking him, it's wrong. They have no right or justification to decide who can or can't go somewhere on campus. And Asman is completely right. If you want to make a guy like this look bad, let him into the encampment and film him being an asshole. He just repeats his own misinformation until it becomes a fact. Which reminds me, it's raining bullshit tonight. A lot of people are unhappy with how police have handled protesters, but Hasan makes it seem like a slaughter.
Instead of that, they did a show of force. They said, no, this is a fascist police state, actually. How dare you fucking say anything mean about Israel? We will fucking kill you. We will pack you up. We will arrest you. Like, all you need to do is just go out there and be a voice, and people still lose their minds. They're like, this is unhinged. Like, we have to kill you. We have to arrest you.
Someone in chat would argue that the police didn't handle the protest as poorly as most other countries. Hasan would rightfully condemn them for making such a pointless argument.
It's not bad unless it's the worst thing possible. Yeah, I know. How could you be complaining? How could you be complaining about police response when German police were locking up Jews and gay people and socialists and Roma people and disabled people and putting them in concentration camps and killing them? Like, you don't have to compare everything to the worst fucking thing that has ever happened.
I completely agree with Hasan here. Something doesn't have to be the equivalent of Nazi Germany to still be considered bad. Hasan would follow this up by forgetting he ever said this and comparing everything to Nazi Germany.
There are so many things that have occurred throughout history that are objectively infinitely more violent than what these students are doing that you agree with. Fighting against Nazi Germany. Obviously, a shit ton of violence occurred there, and it was perfectly righteous and perfectly just.
Ben Shapiro thinks two-parent households would solve a lot of problems in society. Nazi Germany.
He's a fascist. Him bringing up Nazi Germany as a moral regression is an awesome point. Turn around and go, yeah, that's exactly the kind of moral regression you're advocating for in the United States of America when you want to have these like insane regressions on culture.
Students blockade and push back against the police. Nazi Germany.
They did a show of force. They said, no, this is a fascist police state, actually.
Someone's anti-abortion. Nazi Germany.
Very same government, your own local governments, for taking increasingly restrictive actions against those who want to make a medical decision, criminalizing abortion, criminalizing women's bodily autonomy in this country. When they come for you in the exact same way, do not be shocked. There's a little poem about this from Nazi Germany, as a matter of fact. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out for me.
Israel, everyone who sympathizes with their side, every counter-protester. Nazi Germany.
Everyone knows what a fucking Nazi is, okay? And yes, these counter-protesters are fucking Nazis through and through. Israel is a Nazi-style state. Israel's actions are identical to the Nazi regime and the Nazi state.
He gets challenged on this and doubles down because everything does need to be Nazi Germany.
Identical is crazy. Is it? Is it though? Fascism is the underpinning ideological movement that the Zionist ideology represents. Same as the Nazis. Is it that crazy? Is it that crazy? Think about that. Is it? This ain't 2007 no more.
Dude, this guy's so based.
He interviewed a Houthi terrorist and promoted himself the entire time as doing real journalism.
I DM'd him. Bro, are we about to have a Houthi rebel on stream? Yes, brother. What do you mean? Of course I'm about to have a... I'm a journalist, okay? This is journalism. Dude, this is fire. This is exciting. I'm excited. Doing a little bit of real journalism, you know what I mean? Finally.
I agree with Hasan. This would be actual journalism, but the criticism comes from you not asking any real questions. He just wanted to be friends with this guy, asking him about One Piece.
Does he know what One Piece is?
One Piece, like, is that an organization?
No, One Piece is an anime.
One Piece. Luffy.
Is it Luffy?
Yeah, he said he's been watching it since he was a kid.
No way!
Yeah.
That's sick. Yes, yes. That's fire. That's so fire. Oh my God.
He then says him and his entire community support what the Houthi are doing, which is attacking commercial vessels.
Dude, we think the Houthis, Ansar Allah, is doing what Luffy would do. You should tell him that.
Hasan runs out of anime questions to ask this guy immediately.
They don't have any like he doesn't have any time to watch fucking anime and shit, so I don't know what else to ask about.
How about something relevant? That would be cool. So a viewer suggests a real question and Hasan shoots him down.
All right. Okay, what else do I want to ask? So like, I mean, he's ask him if he would stop going on boats if Israel stops the genocide. I mean, yeah, he's gonna say yes, chat. What are you talking about? Those are like dumbass questions. Has he ever had like Western food?
How is that a better question? It is the biggest Glaze session I have ever seen.
What does he have to say to dumbasses that consider him to be a terrorist? What does he think about that? Ask him that question. I just banned one of those stupid fuckers in the chat just now.
He says, who are they?
Just fucking dumbasses.
Wow, this is so impartial. I made a whole video addressing how historically terrible this video is, even by Hasan standards. Feel free to check it out. But the point is, he was really proud of it, comparing his anime questions to legitimate journalists who provided alternative perspectives.
It's kind of like the state's narrative is threatened by the humanization of Arabs. Yes, 100%. Journalists sat down with actual ISIS members for interviews. The f are people talking about? Exactly. There's no way that you can say that is not appropriate, okay? That's what the media does. You can interview whoever the f you want, okay? The idea that you can't do that is ridiculous. So that is just journalism. People have literally interviewed Osama bin Laden, okay?
People are not mad that you interviewed him. It's how you did it. Hasan would get so much pushback for this, he'd revert to the Hasan classic, imply that everyone's racist.
The problem is not that you interviewed him, it's how you interviewed him. Gave me chicken and waffles with the Nazi vibes. That's great. That's a great question, or that's a great point to raise here. Except this person is not a Nazi in the United States of America. He's not a Nazi in Yemen either. You are suspecting him of being that because you're primed into assuming that this 19-year-old is straight up a Nazi. He's giving you Nazi vibes, I guess.
Yeah, bro, I wonder why.
I can't do anything to help you sort out your own internal biases that makes you feel like this is not a good thing, this is a bad thing.
He's part of an organization whose flag says death to Israel, death to the United States, a curse upon the Jews. Hasan's gotten so much heat for this, he's now rewriting history, acting like the guy was never a Houthi.
I had a random teenager from Yemen on this broadcast, and these dipshits literally kept saying he's an anti-Semitic, homophobic, gay people executing terrorist Houthi who killed probably a bunch of fucking sailors. Random fucking Yemeni teenager who in the interview said he's not anti-Semitic, that he's totally on board with anti-Zionist Jews, which was shocking for him to even learn about.
Hasan, if he thinks all Jews are Zionists and he didn't know that others existed, doesn't that mean he hates all Jews?
Not a militant. And literally said he was not Houthi.
He didn't say he wasn't part of the Houthi. He was very vague because he's clearly been media trained, which Hasan pointed out.
As far as the Ansar Allah militancy goes, like as far as the standing military goes, like I don't know if he is allowed to speak on this. I don't know if he's like actually a part of the groups at all, or just like simply a TikToker. You know what I mean? I don't know how to ask that in the best way possible, though.
Yeah, I feel like we can ask it pretty directly. His answer is he's a Yemeni who stands with Palestine.
Okay.
He says that he's not Shiite or Sunni. He's just a Yemeni Muslim.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. I mean, I don't know. I feel like he's very media trained, surprisingly, but okay.
It's not surprising at all because he's not some random Yemeni teenager. A viewer pointed out that Hasan marketed it as talking to a Houthi.
Didn't you brand it as him being a Houthi interview though, brother? I didn't know anything about him. Okay? And that is the reason why I asked them questions in that process. But many people did not actually watch the interview and they simply made assertions.
Bro, you need to watch your own interview. I didn't know it was possible to rewrite your own history after only 2 months. This has to be a new record. George Orwell would be impressed.
Close your fucking mouth, you're just really fucking dense. If you hate me while you talking, you don't make no fucking sense.
Hasan's community is so insane that they're even sick of him. They go after him for the smallest things.
I'm sorry, I forgot to say, you need to stop drinking Coke Zero on stream.
Why?
It's boycott.
Wait, is it?
You're preaching pro-Palestine and you're drinking all this boycott stuff. Please, Hasan, at least pretend. Do it off stream. Please,
Okay, I'll put it in.
She's like, please, just pretend to care, Hasan. And he's like, sure, that's my whole grift.
Is Pepsi okay?
No.
No soda, Hasan. I didn't know it was like that.
I'm trying to stop it. He's an animal.
You hosted him in his home and I watched him on stream drink Coke Zero.
Yeah,
it's
but
your house. You get to say no.
Hasan's annoyed here, but he created this. A good example of how is a guy in his community was complaining about getting bullied at school. Someone said, we need a better slur against white people because cracker doesn't hit hard enough. And Miles replies, damn, so I guess me growing up in my shitty poor neighborhood / family and experiencing people with me for being white for a lot of years and getting jumped multiple times means nothing. Great. Hasan replies, anti-white racism is entirely victimhood seeking. It's like how Zion is crying that people are mad at them for defending Israel's actions. It's perceived victimhood. No different than complaining that you were slighted at a gay bar for being a heterosexual. If you're getting jumped and called slurs, that's a little bit more than just being slighted, right? Miles responds, am I just a stupid victim when I say that I don't like getting jumped for being a white 14-year-old at my high school? I got shit for the color of my skin almost every day. Hasan shows no sympathy. Dude got bullied in high school and thinks that reverse racism is real. Can't make this up. My man thinks racial discrimination is simply mean words that hurts my feelings and not an entire system designed to keep a whole ass group subjected. And the mean words are secondary to the perceived grievance. It's a fundamental misunderstanding of racism in the way that we conceptualize it. How's this dude ever accuse anyone else of being a debate pedophile when he's saying stuff like this? This poor guy's just like, yeah, I don't think we should promote using slurs. And Hasan's response is, ever hear of systemic racism? The entire Discord would dunk on this guy. You gotta love the logic of these people. This guy getting bullied for his race isn't racism. You guys have to hang out with regular people. It's no wonder Hasan's sitting there crying, wondering why all the normies left. His viewership falls off when he's not talking about politics, and it's gotten to Hasan venting in Discord. I don't know, this was a space to convert normies to our politics and people who could enjoy and many of you became like weirdos who don't see that as an important part of the project because you associate leftism with being an annoying douchebag who hates fun. I hate how much people literally despise any kind of fun content. We killed all the normies. Everyone is brain broken and only wants politics. I hate what my community is becoming. I'm done. I hate this job. I'm not streaming today. Well deserved. You did it to yourself. Another thing I find funny is Hasan will make it a point to mock Destiny for doing research.
He did all that reading to scour talking points and still got owned. I find that to be hilarious. That my man did hours and hours of reading on stream and still is a 1, genocide defender, and 2, did a phenomenally bad job.
Bro, if you're so knowledgeable, then talk to him. Engage with his points. He just does the classic Hasan and calls him pro-genocide. It doesn't even mean anything anymore.
Yeah, the G in DGG stands for deranged genocide gnomes. They love it. They love it so much. They're like, ooh. The funniest part about this is that if Destiny wasn't a pro-genocide streamer, they would literally not be either. That's how easily manipulated they are. That's the funniest part. I promise you, if tomorrow he just decided, yeah, this Israel shit has actually gone too far, I'm actually anti-Israel now, like 95%, the rest of the community, the diehards, would absolutely turn around and start advocating for the argument in the opposite direction because they don't have a dog in the fight. They don't have a stake in the fight. They just like shit up.
Bro, you don't have a dog in this fight. He acts like he lives in Gaza and is less privileged than anyone else giving their opinion in the West. You're not. Someone asked why Hasan doesn't just try to convince people instead of demonizing them, and Hasan's brain just melts.
Shouldn't you be trying to convince these people of the right thing instead of ostracizing them? Man, suck my fucking dick, dumb fuck. These people are brain broken. You don't know what the you're talking about. Jesus Christ.
Hasan can't engage with any of Destiny's points. He refuses to debate him on peers, so now he's reverted to Leafy style insults. Wow, you're so old.
He's 40 years old, pushing 40.
How old is this guy again? Like 35, 40?
That's what happens when you're a fucking whole ass 40-year-old.
I swear to God, this guy's a net negative to the Palestinian cause. In the past, I criticized Hasan for laughing at a cop for getting shot.
Oh, watch out, watch out. Oh my God. Oh my God. Watch out. Are you okay? No, you shot me. Oh God. Are you okay? Echo 7, 1081.
Well, he's finally responded to it, doubling down. No remorse, no surprise. Remember, this guy's a humanitarian.
Watch out! Are you okay? No, you shot me! Oh God! Are you?
What the fuck? Still good. Still good. Yo, that still bangs, dude. Yo, that's funny as fuck.
Hasan loves to push the narrative to his audience that all criticism made towards him is invalid because I'm a drama farmer. Link them to this timestamp. If I am able to farm you for entirely new mistakes you make month after month, whether it's misreporting a hospital bombing.
Israeli military said it did not have any details on the reported bombing. Fuck you. Fuck you, dude. Why are you... It's ridiculous. Like, oh, Hamas run health ministry. Well, you know how they are. You know how those dirty Arabs are. They lie all the time. You know what I mean? They're probably lying again.
Acting like a JDAM's expert.
So that is a JDAM called on. Do you think that seems similar? You have no evidence. Stop concluding. What is this? What am I looking at? What am I looking at with my own two eyes? What are you looking at? I have no evidence? Don't believe your fuck. What do you mean? Does that strike you as a fucking misfire?
Framing a kid who was complicit in a stabbing as someone who was randomly kidnapped.
13-year-old is innocent, man. Fucking ridiculous.
But if you just take 2 seconds and Google his name, you'll see that he was running around holding knives with his 15-year-old cousin. His cousin stabbed a 13-year-old Israeli boy and another 21-year-old, glorifying Houthi terrorists by saying they're just like anime pirates.
We think the Houthis, Ansar Allah, is doing what Luffy would do. You should tell him that.
Reading tweets is factual-based news, and then when the full story comes out, he gets mad, discrediting it based on nothing. He's done this for years. In every video I made on him, there's something new. Him crying about getting farmed is a massive self-report. The fact that this many videos is even possible to make on him is embarrassing. At the end of the day, it doesn't really feel like I'm farming him at all. It feels like I'm picking necessary weeds. These criticisms have nothing to do with politics and everything to do with principle. You see, it doesn't matter if you're a libtard or a repubtard, because we could all come together in knowing that Hasan is just a retard. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Subscribe to the channel, and remember to check out Aura. Shout out to the homies over on Patreon: Phoebes, Crimson Glass, Riveter, Christina Vina, Mac Monkey, Drink Kobex, Necro Valley, Stefan Bildman, Abby Blackbird, The Confusing Opinion, Eddie Bizzle, Tismic Fitz, Christopher H, TV Anthology Reviews, Kinklemore, Sennial Music, Lucas Sif, ET Automatic, Faye Under, Snoopy Poop Doop 2, and the Mega Homies: Ronald Hughes, Hellison, IGP, Your Taxi, Latchkey Gothboy, Cyber Katie, Lore Reloaded, Papa Gut, Caden Lulin, Exo Irish Exo, BA Subway, Hawkin Load, Zerophonic, Derek Dew, Strictly Patrick, at Kitty Cat, A Screaming Cloaker, Terox, John Manfreda, and Trick.